Welcome back to another episode of The Stacks. This week for the Stacks Book Club, we're discussing Less by Andrew Sean Greer. Our guest is Zeke Smith, and I am your host, Tracy Thomas. Are you a member of the Stacks Pack? Do you even know what the Stacks Pack is? Well, it's a group of people who love this show who contribute monthly to the work that we're doing. In exchange, they earn special perks, inside access, and we've got some really exciting stuff coming in the fall for Stacks Pack members. How do you join? You go to patreon.com/thestacks, you pledge whatever you can, and then you're in. It's that easy. Also, you get to rest easy knowing that you're helping make your favorite podcast a reality. There's no way we could make the show without help from people like you. So if you're able to contribute, please consider doing so. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to this show wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, whatever you use, Stitcher, TuneIn. I don't know. There's so many different options. So just make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening. And if you're listening through Apple Podcasts, please take a few moments to rate and review the show. Our most recent review comes from Shar and her books. She says, quote, "I absolutely love this podcast and look forward to it every Wednesday. Every time I listen, I feel like I'm sitting at a cafe with two friends talking books and all things life." Thank you so much, Shar. We appreciate you listening and your support. The rest of you, there's still time. You can rate and review whenever you have a moment. As always, I've listed everything we talk about in this week's episode in the show notes. And if you shop through the links in those notes, the Stacks earns a small commission at no charge to you. And you get to know that you're shopping, helping out one of your favorite podcasts. So it's a win-win. That's all for housekeeping. This week's guest is Zeke Smith. If you missed him last week, go back and check it out. Get to know him a little better before diving into this week's conversation about Pulitzer Prize-winning book Less by Andrew Sean Greer. There are definitely spoilers this week, so if you've not read the book, you might want to pause this episode, read the book, and come back whenever you're ready. We will still be here. Okay, let's do it. Okay, we're back for the Stacks Book Club this week. We are joined again by the wonderful Zeke Smith. If you haven't listened to Zeke on the show, you can go back to last week's episode. Zeke, welcome back.
I'm so excited to be back.
I'm excited to have you here. We're talking about this year's Pulitzer Prize winner, Less by Andrew Sean Greer. It's a novel. It tells the story of Arthur Less, who's our protagonist. He's a writer. He's nearing 50. He's very nearing 50. And he gets invited to his ex-partner's wedding. And he's like, nah, I can't go to that wedding. Too stressful, too much. I'm still just trying to figure out my life. I'm going to go travel the world. So the book is his journey around the world from San Francisco to a bunch of places. And that's kind of like the rundown of the book. And just before we get going, we're going to spoil the book today. It's a fiction book. There's no way we can't spoil it. So if you haven't read, pause the episode, take your time, read the book, and then come back. This episode will be here for you. All right, Zeke, let's do it. Let's start with my just intro question. What did you think of the book?
I loved this book. I had so much fun reading this book. I guess I will say a couple of things. I was reading this book, and it intersected with a couple of events in my life. So the first is that the protagonist, Arthur Less, is an author, and he submitted a book, and it got rejected by his publisher.
Well, he was already signed with a publisher, like had written 2 other books with them.
Right.
And they were like,
nah.
No.
So I was a little different, but I was in the process of writing a book, wrote a proposal, and the proposal was resoundingly rejected. So I was like, commiserating with that experience. And also, he is someone who is mildly successful, has had his own small amount of success, but his former partner is a genius and like one of the greatest poets of his generation.
Sure.
I also happen to be in a relationship with someone who's experiencing a lot more success than I am right now, and I'm in his shadow a little bit. So I was like, oh gosh, I identify with that. But yeah, there are like so many fun little moments of like the modern queer experience that he captures so well that authors, not only authors, but I don't think any medium that I've witnessed is capturing quite as beautifully as he had. And Yeah, I was like, oh gosh, this book is really speaking to me on so many levels.
That really makes me happy because I didn't love this book.
Okay.
I liked this book fine. Now, let's talk about the things that I carry with me because I think it's important to the conversation. I don't love fiction.
Okay.
Generally, I like nonfiction, and I don't like things that are what I call quote unquote fiction-y. This book isn't super fiction-y. I think fiction-y is like when there's like a 30-page description of like a field. I'm like, okay, so it's green. Awesome. Then what happened?
He moves pretty quickly.
This book moves quickly, so I appreciated that. Like I read the book in 2 or 3 days. Like it wasn't that the book didn't move. I just kind of felt like the whole time, like, what's the point? And also that might be because I don't really connect with the 50-year-old white male like lens.
Fair enough.
The stuff about relationships I connected with because I think relationships are easy to connect with.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the stuff about being a writer and like kind of like the struggle and the feelings of like mediocrity, like some of that stuff I kind of was like, yeah, we're not all geniuses, you know?
But isn't that the point of the book? Like,
sure.
I feel like in the work that I was writing, I was trying to write myself at. So there's this moment where he's about to turn 50 and he's pitching his book to this woman, and
yes, and I have that. I think it's on page like 170. If you're
I've got it highlighted somewhere. And he's like, so basically, like the book is like a gay Ulysses, and he's like the character is very much just a himself, and 170. All right.
Well, my book might be different.
Oh,
is it the part where she's like, it's about like a white gay man?
Yeah.
Who's
So
like
he's pitching the book, and it's this sad book about this sad middle-aged gay guy who's wandering around San Francisco, and she's like, actually, he's not that sad. Like, I don't really feel bad for a middle-aged white man, and he's like, but he's gay, and she's like, but yeah, but like still even, and he comes to this realization that his character's not like the tragic figure. His character's a fool.
Right.
And I think that's when you're also like, oh, Arthur Less, I'm not supposed to feel bad for him. He's a fool. He's actually had a perfectly lovely life and is traveling all around the world. Like, you've got a great life. Like, snap out of it and appreciate it.
See, I had the opposite reaction to that. I had the reaction of like, this whole book is just this book. Like,
yeah,
why are you making me read this book that's not good? That's kind of how I felt. Like, and to be fair, I like if I was going to rate this book, I would give it 3 stars. Like, I think it's a perfectly solid book. Like, the writing is great. I really like the writing, whatever. But for me, I was like, what's the point? Like, why am I here? So I had the opposite reaction to what you're saying, which was like, I didn't have the moment of like, oh, Arthur Less is a fool. I had the moment of like, so why did you write this book about this sad guy from San Francisco wandering the world?
But don't you think it's supposed to be reflective of the person who he imagined would read this book? Which is someone who probably is smart enough and successful enough, but feels like they're mediocre because they're not a genius.
Sure.
Right? And that is like the mirror that it's holding up is like, quit stressing out that you're not a genius. Like, your life is perfectly lovely. You can waste your life away thinking there's going to be a better guy or thinking you're going to write a better book when really, like, there is so much loveliness just in your life.
Yeah, I just kind of wish the book said
Quit making yourself sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we talked about this like so briefly last week where you mentioned, I think, a Charles Dickens book you want to read that's like humorous prose.
Yes.
And I wanted to laugh at this book because everyone said it was really funny, but I didn't laugh. Did you
I
laugh?
Laughed a lot.
See, I think that I miss humor sometimes in books.
Because you're probably giving the text too much credit.
Yeah, I think
sometimes you can overthink. You cannot see humor because you're giving every word too much credence.
Right, or that you're just reading it like how you read every other book, and so many books aren't funny. And like I think sometimes humor, you have to see it physically in the world.
Yes,
like humor's hard to read.
I agree with you because I think it's so in the sorry we're talking about his rejection. We're going to talk about my rejection.
That's fine.
It's just on my heart right now.
We talk about everything.
Yeah, I feel that the people, so like my agents really loved the stuff that I wrote. And everyone who knows me were like, yeah. But they all were people who understand my voice and sense of humor. and a lot of the people who were reading it didn't know who the hell I'd never
Right.
heard me speak before. And if you're not, I think like with anything, you have to hook into the author's voice
Mm-hmm.
in order to get the humor, in order to read it at their pace
Mm-hmm.
and understand like maybe they seem mean, but really they're just like, that's just them being cheeky.
Right.
And so I think if you don't have the rhythm right, you don't
Yeah.
get the humor.
The rhythm just didn't work. It didn't land with me. I had a hard time being like, this is funny.
Do you, I'm interested. Do you feel like you know this guy? Like, do you feel like you know a
Kind of.
middle-aged gay guy?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like, I feel like, you mean like in the world, in my real life, like, do I know people like Arthur Less?
Yes.
Yes, I do feel like that. I just don't know if I felt like Arthur Less was specific enough. I don't know. He kind of felt like generally older gay guy to me.
I would say that's fair.
So maybe like, because I do feel like with humor, like specificity is really important. And so maybe because I wasn't like picturing a very specific person, that it didn't connect as humor to me. It kind of just connected as like complainy for me.
Interesting.
But like complainy is funny if you, like you were saying, if you know the person. Like I have.
Right. I guess I'm in my like understanding who this person is in the world. I'm like, oh God, this is just some like whiny queen.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But like to me, I'm like, who cares? Here's what I think it is about that. It's like, yes, a whiny queen can be really funny if you know the whiny queen and you get it, and like they're standing in front of you and be like, some of my favorite conversations is like when I call a friend just to bitch about things, you know, and it's like
Sure.
You laugh so hard and you're like, we're just complaining about like my sock turned pink in the laundry, but like it's funny because I know you and you know me and you get it.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe I didn't know Arthur well enough to connect to his like complainy, whiny stuff.
So here's why I think maybe there's a bit of a gap.
Yes.
And so something I think that the book does really well, an interesting conversation that it has is that as queer people, we really don't know how to grow old for two reasons.
Yes.
So if you are straight and cisgender, you likely have parents that are straight and cisgender who, whether or not you accept or reject it, you do have this model of, well, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have kids and I'm going to have a house. And there is an idea of what your life trajectory, your personal life trajectory is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're queer, you can't really look to your parents as the model. We're only now entering a world where getting married is a thing that you think about. And before that, particularly a guy who's about to turn 50, most of his life, the idea of getting married and having kids and having that stable family is not something that was really on the table.
Well, it wasn't even legal.
Well, it wasn't, right. And also it's complicated by the fact that, like, most of us died in the 80s
Right.
and 90s, right? All of the people who might serve as our elders and role models now died in the AIDS plague.
Right.
So we are in there. As I get older, I more and more feel this anxiety of, I don't know. I don't have role models for what my personal life is supposed to look like. I don't know when I'm supposed to find someone or how many people I'm supposed to date or if I'm
Right.
supposed to have kids or if I'm supposed to get married or do I have one partner or multiple partners? And there is this, I think, personal social anxiety that he's feeling. And there is the genius partner that he had, whom is like in Robert, who is, let's be a little generic. Let's call it his deathbed.
Sure.
And then there is this younger man, Freddie, who he was having sex with and spending lovely weekends with for 9 years. Like, they were, at no point does he call Freddie his boyfriend. He's just like his fuck toy. But really, they were dating. Like, they had an intimate relationship and they loved each other.
And they traveled together and they did things.
Right. They were boyfriends.
Yeah.
For a long time. But were never willing, because in gay world you can do that. You can have these nebulous, unlabeled relationships that you can, because I think amongst guys you're like, oh, well, we can just sleep together and it doesn't have to be personal and it doesn't have to be intimate, because for so long, we were not only for so long were there prohibitions about men being intimate with each other, we're also raised as men, and men are not taught to romantically or platonically be intimate with one another. So we think we can have this emotional distance, but really, like, they're real, personal, loving relationships.
Right.
We just don't recognize it. And that's sort of what Arthur is dealing with as well, is that for so long he was like, oh, it's not real with Freddie, or he's too young, or he's going to move on from me. And then Freddie goes and is getting married, and it sends Arthur into this existential tailspin.
Right.
Right. So I think those particular questions make this seem very, I don't know, real.
Right.
And
well, that
relevant.
stuff I loved. So, like, what I loved about the book, and there are things that I really, really liked. Like, I loved some of the conversations on growing old as a gay man. Like, what does that mean? And like you were saying, like with AIDS and all of that, but also just like without having role models and without having a clear, because aside from not even having aside from like people dying from AIDS and all the horror that went into that and the trauma that goes into losing your friends in your community, there's also this idea that like being gay wasn't really allowed a long time ago. Like you were like, it's
right.
not,
it's like a very recent thing.
It's a very recent thing. So even if you survived and you didn't get AIDS and you didn't die and you made it, like then you are the new frontier, because being an out and proud and like I am a gay man in the world wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And so like all of that I find super interesting. I also really found the stuff about like what is a successful marriage between Lewis and Clark. Remember his friends? That's funny. Their names are funny. I found that to be super interesting
too. And I think that's actually because what now allowing gay people to get married, but we've had our own different forms of partnership before. Like
right.
We made lives together.
Just because it wasn't a legal thing doesn't mean that people weren't spending their lives together in committed long-term relationships.
But it did allow new formations of them. And I think, so Lewis and Clark have this thing where I forget if I think Clark says to Lewis, we're only going to be married for 10 years.
10 years.
And then they come to 10 years and they say, we're only going to be married for 10 more years.
Yeah, it's like, I'd like to re-up on the 10.
Yeah, which I actually think that is a great model for partnership.
So my husband and I, every year on our anniversary, we say, do we want to do it again? We do. We have like a moment of like,
I think that's
another
beautiful.
year.
I think the idea that you have to be together forever. I don't, because like my parents were married for much longer than they should have.
Sure.
Right? I think people grow and people change, and you don't always grow or change in the same direction.
Right.
I'm a very different person than I was 10 years ago.
Sure.
I'm sure I will be very different in another 10 years.
Yeah.
And like, I'm very in love with my boyfriend now, and I hope we're together forever, of course, but like things do change. And I think it would be better to come to a place of healthy agreement that you need to move separately than just grow to like hate each other.
Right.
And vile.
Well, and also I think Lewis says about the marriage, like, because Arthur freaks out about this. He's like, what do you mean? You guys are my example of like a successful marriage. Like you are what I'm looking towards. And he's basically like, Arthur, if we were a band and we were together for 20 years, everyone would say, what a success. If we were business partners and we were like, and that this idea that like a marriage needs to be forever and ever and ever, and that you need to be committed to this person for the rest of your life, even though when you get married, 20 years go by, 40 years go by. Like some people it works and you find a groove and it's amazing, but like it's not a failure to have had a successful marriage of 20 years of love.
Yeah.
Like, and the idea that that is a failure is crazy when you really think about it.
Yeah. And I think, so in the past week, I have had two friends break up. One broke up with a boyfriend. The other got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
But in both instances, they were talking about like the grief of the loss of that person. But in both instances, it was very like mutually and responsibly agreed to. Like they didn't come to a place where they hated each other. They just both agreed that their lives were moving in different directions, and it no longer made sense for them to be together.
Were they homosexual relationships?
Both gay guys.
Interesting.
And I was like, how healthy and lovely. Because I've only had, before the guy I'm dating now, I've only had 2 relationships, and they were both in college. So, I mean, whatever. But they both came to tragic ends, and I never would speak to those people ever again.
Right. Well, and that's just so college-y, too.
Yeah.
That also speaks to a point in one's life where you're doing everything probably a little wrong.
a lot of things.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so those kind of like ideas, I feel like throughout the book there's like these like big ideas that like Greer touches on loosely that I really appreciated, but like the overall story itself, I kind of was like, eh. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I can understand why. I don't necessarily feel the same way.
Right. No, of course not.
I think that I could have used maybe like 30 more pages on the end.
Yeah.
I think it feels like he was like, all right, I'm tired. I'm done writing the book.
Okay. What did you think of the end?
I wasn't crazy about the end.
That's so crazy because I love the end. I thought the end was amazing. I got to the end and I was like, thank God, that was a good end.
I liked the way it ended.
Okay.
Stylistically, I wasn't crazy about it.
So the narrator part, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
The narrator okay.
I thought, because for me, so the narrator jumps
in and out
a couple of times, like acknowledges that they are a narrator.
Right.
And I thought the narrator was the author.
Okay.
And the narrator ends up being another character.
We can spoil. It's Freddie.
Yeah.
Everybody who's listening, I hope you've read the book because we just spoiled. But I warned you earlier we were going to spoil, so what are you doing still listening? The narrator's Freddie. Did you see that coming?
I did not.
I did not see that coming either. I was trying to figure out who the narrator was. So I didn't think that the narrator worked well throughout the book, but I thought that the ending was great. I almost like wanted to go back and like reread the sections with the narrator to like rehear what they had to say, knowing that it was Freddie in the end.
Yeah, especially because I thought I understood who the narrator was.
Right.
And for me, because the book is about an author who's a middle-aged gay guy, and Andrew Sean Greer is an author. So, like,
a middle-aged gay guy.
Yeah. I thought there was this play on, right, because as writers, we're always writing about ourselves. Right. They're just veiled versions of ourselves. And I thought we were playing with this veil of the narrator and the author. And as like the book gets rejected and rewritten, I was like, oh, are we sort of having this like fun interplay? And that's, I think, part of why I like the book so much, as obviously because I'm a writer having an experience reading it. And then when it turned out to be Freddie, I was like, oh no. Right. This totally screws with
this is not what I thought
I thought I was reading something into the book, but maybe it's not there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously he wanted you to try to figure out who the narrator was, because otherwise he would have said, hi, I'm your
Freddie.
narrator, Freddie.
Yes.
Join me on this journey. So like he clearly was definitely playing with that idea of like who are you listening to tell this story of this other person?
Yeah, and because there are throughout the book, there are a couple of missed phone calls, and there are like urgent notes, and because there are two lovers, you know it could be either of them. And also he goes on this adventure to miss Freddie's to avoid Freddie's wedding, and then people keep dropping hints that Freddie's wedding didn't go as it was supposed to go. And then you get sort of the reconciliation with Robert, and then you know he's got to reconcile with Freddie somehow. And actually I was like, oh man, there are like 5 pages left in this chapter and 5 pages left in the book. How are we going to wrap it up with Freddie? And then that's how it happened. And I was like, oh, all right. Okay.
I like the end. It's so funny that you like the book, but not the end. And I didn't like the book, but I like the end. I had a moment at the end of being like, thank you. Thank you, because I would have been pissed if the end. I love a happy ending.
I was all for the happy ending.
Yeah. But you just didn't like the way it rolled out.
Yeah.
That's okay. What about the stuff with Robert, the reconciliation with Robert? What did you think of all that stuff?
It didn't make me feel much.
So interesting. We really had like
very
you and I
different
had very
experiences.
because I really liked like the reconciliation. I really liked the part where he was like, "Oh, poor Arthur, you must like really love this boy." I liked Rob. I think Robert was probably my favorite character because I liked that he had like clearly had like a generosity of like first of all, he probably was a fucking asshole, but also that there was like this generosity and like understanding of like the human spirit that I felt like came across from him. Like Arthur felt like the only person in the world to Arthur, and everything was about like Arthur's entitlement and his joy and his this and like, it's so hard being me. And Robert felt like he really like went through some shit, but also was like, that's life. Like,
yeah, that he sort of grown out of the selfishness.
Yeah, like that he had a better understanding of like what it is to live a full life.
I would agree with you. I think so Robert's wife, the woman,
Marion, or something.
Because it's like there's seemingly bad blood between everyone, which is why they haven't spoken in many because it's been close to 15, like 10, 15 years since anyone has communicated with one another. And then everyone gets on the Skype call and everyone's just so like happy and great and everything's fine.
Right.
And I guess story-wise, that seemed a little too convenient.
Well, see, but what I wondered was that was everybody really upset with each other, or had Les created this thing
in his mind?
Because like it seems like the way that it's written that like Marion seemed like genuinely like happy to see him, and even when Robert and Les got together, Marion like it felt like she knew it was coming, kind of.
Yeah,
like it seemed like that Les created this problem for himself, that maybe like if he had just put himself a little bit aside, he could have maybe had a relationship with them. So I don't know.
That's
there's so much about Les that I feel like I just don't know or get. And so I feel like maybe that's part of what makes the book good for people, is like you can insert your own.
You can write yourself into it.
Like, oh, if you really like are on the side of Les, then you're like, oh, there's bad blood and like this was a really uncomfortable situation. Whereas like if you don't like him as much, maybe you could do what I did, which was like, Les created all this bullshit. He's a drama queen. Like it's not that big of a deal. Nobody cares. Like a stroke means more than, you know. So I don't know. But you're right. It's unclear either way.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's intentional, right?
I think so, right?
It's because don't you look back on your life and
why did it make such a big deal
about that? Or maybe it's just time heals the wounds,
right?
But maybe if they tried to, they kept in touch, or if they spoke in 5 years, whatever,
it would be okay.
There would still be the shit that you're mad about people with, right? Because and then if you just get past it, you just move on,
right? This book does do a good job of kind of like talking about the passing of time and of aging in a really like, for the most part, really generous, kind way. Besides Arthur's personal anxiety about turning 50, like you kind of see, like I loved how the book weaved between the relationships and like the memories of them over, the course of like 28 years of relationships or more. And I liked how it was kind of fluid and you saw why and how people became who they were.
Yes.
And I really liked that.
I know. I agree. You're saying it so much more eloquent. I rarely find occasion to talk about the books that I've read with another person.
I know. Isn't it great?
And I'm like, you do it all the time. Like, wow, you're speaking about this so well. And I agree with what you're saying.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love talking about books, but it's true. Like this is so.
I don't know people who read.
Oh, I know people. There's lots of people on the internet. I made friends on the internet, which is like so creepy, except for that they're readers. So I trust that they're nice people.
It's okay. I've slept with fans. It's fine.
There you go. Yeah.
Twitter.
This is like the same as sleeping with fans, is talking about books with people you meet on the internet. No, but it's, I'll have to introduce you to some people I know in real life who read.
I should join a book club.
I'm not in a real life book club. This is my real life book club.
Well, I think you're dedicated enough your life to books.
Well, I just don't like. Well, let me tell you why I'm not in a book club. I'm in one other book club. It's me and one other person,
okay.
Sam. He was a guest a while ago, and we started our own book club because we wanted to read like dark, twisty nonfiction. And every time we would tell people what we were reading, they'd be like, why are you reading that? Like, that book's about murder. Why are you reading a book about polygamist, blah, blah, blah? And we were like, because we like it and we don't want you to be judgy. So we just never invited anybody else into our book club.
Fair enough.
And so I don't want to read a book that like Megan wants to read. No offense. I know a lot of lovely Megans.
But we all know who Megan is.
Yeah, yes. Sure. Becky, whoever you want her to be. I want to read what I want to read. So if you don't fall in line with what I want to read, I don't want to talk about a book with you,
Right. You'd have to be in a book club with interesting people who are going to make interesting selections.
Right. And that's hard.
Yes.
That's the hard part. But what I like about this podcast is I can just read a book that I might not normally read with a person that I think is interesting and know that I'll get to have an interesting conversation about one book with one person, and I don't have to commit my whole life to reading what Zeke wants to read.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah. Though I also like dark, twisty nonfiction.
Well, we could like have our own little like offline book club.
Let's
I have
do it.
so much dark, twisty nonfiction, and you like military books too.
I do.
And I feel like
I'm pretty well read, I think, in the genre of true crime.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your fave, or what's something you've read that you liked?
Let's say just because I'm like at a loss, because you can't just ask me what books
Sorry.
I've read. No, it's fine. Helter Skelter.
Oh, so good. That's like the one that got me to realize that I'm obsessed with cults.
Yes, and also I'm well read on Jonestown.
Jonestown is my
Hasidic
number
Jews,
one.
on the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints.
You read the John Krakauer?
Oh yeah, I did. I love that.
He's
book.
like my number one. Have you read Where Men Win Glory? His book about Pat Tillman.
Yes, I have.
Is that not an amazing book?
It's an amazing book.
That's an amazing book.
Yes,
John Krakauer.
I love
amazing.
John Krakauer.
Amazing. This is like, if you want to talk about a book that's like really far away from less, like you might consider reading Under the Banner of Heaven or Where Men Win Glory.
I love Under the Banner of Heaven.
So good. Okay, we'll do more true crime when we log off. See, I'm smiling from ear to ear from true crime is my joy.
And Killers of the Flower Moon, I'm sure you read
I've not read
recently.
that yet. I know everyone says it's amazing and I have to. I just haven't gotten there. It
It's
came out
about-
recently.
About a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just haven't gotten there. But it's on my list. And I know it's really good. There's just so much crime. So much.
We're in the true crime renaissance.
Yes.
Everyone loves true crime.
Have you read Columbine by Dave Cullen?
I've not.
Okay.
All right, I'll put it on the list.
It's one of the best true crime investigative journalist books I've ever read. He is amazing. He's gay.
Oh.
And I have a
Fun.
theory about true crime written by gay men and women or people of color. It's always better.
Yeah.
Because I feel that sometimes white, heterosexual, cisgender men feel that they have to apologize or justify some of the crazy shit that has happened. Like I read a book about Jonestown, about Jim Jones, and the author was like,
I probably read that book. I'm obsessed with Jonestown.
I love Jonestown. I'm obsessed. But I'm so excited. But the author was like, in Indianapolis in the 1960s, while people were like, there was a general feeling of like dislike of African Americans, it wasn't so racist. They used the word nigger as more of a descriptive term. And I'm like, why are you apologizing for Indianapolis in the 1960s? Like, another book I read about Jonestown written by a woman, she was like, Indianapolis was fucking racist.
Yeah.
And like, that's why these people wanted to leave. And that's why these people followed Jim Jones. And like that, the difference between just like how you present these things as like an older, heterosexual, white, cisgender man, I feel like sometimes I'm like, you're not being honest with us. Whereas when it's written by like a gay guy or a woman or a black man or something, I feel like I'm like, I fuck with this. So you should read Columbine because I fuck with that book so hard.
Yeah. Also, isn't the craziest thing about Jim Jones and Jonestown that it all started as a cult, or not a cult, as a church that was seeking racial justice?
Yes.
That's the craziest part to me.
My listeners know that I'm obsessed with Jonestown. I fucking love Jonestown. I would have been part of Jonestown. I know it. I'm from the Bay Area. It was like my kind of shit. Like, I just know I would have been in there.
The People's Temple.
I would have been a member. I can't sing, so I wouldn't have been in the choir. But anyways, the number one recommendation is 1,000 Lives by Julia Shears. It's about Jonestown. I tell everybody to read it. It's amazing.
And I've read it too. I can
Isn't it amazing?
recommend. Yes.
It's amazing. Valentine's Day is upon us, and I've got love on the brain. Love for books. Duh, of course. Hello. Did you forget what podcast you're listening to? I love bringing you all great reads, exclusive author interviews, and behind the scenes book gossip. But I can only do that with your support over on Patreon and Substack. Our Stacks Patreon community, also known as the Stacks Pack, is where you can go for book club meetups, a private, very active Discord, and a year-long mega reading challenge to help you achieve all your reading goals. Plus, you also get that monthly bonus episode. Now, over on the Substack, you can subscribe to my newsletter, Unstacked, where I keep the book conversations going. I also give you a healthy dose of sports and pop culture, definitely some hot takes happening over there. And again, that bonus episode. If you don't have a few dollars to spare, don't worry. There are free options on the Substack and the Patreon to get you a little extra Stacks magic. Making this podcast is a total team effort, and by supporting my Patreon and my Substack, you allow me to support my amazing team that makes the show possible every single week. So if you or your friends are looking to meet other book lovers and support this indie podcast, come hang out with me on Patreon, Substack, or both. I would love to have you. And since we're talking about love, you can gift subscriptions to the Patreon and the Substack for that special reader in your life. For the Stacks Pack, head to patreon.com/thestacks. And for the newsletter, head to traceythomas.substack.com. And also, there are links to both in the show notes. Okay, see you in the Stacks. Okay, let's go back to the book.
Okay.
I want to talk about something that the book brings up that's not necessarily like about the book, but just I kind of want to get your take. The book talks about how like Les is a bad gay.
Yes.
Because his characters in his book are like gay men who are long suffering and like have no joy and get no reward and are just basically like miserable humans, and that this is like some sort of self-loathing gay man author problem.
Yes. So
talk about it.
This is so interesting. An idea that I like to talk about a lot is that so straight people have this expectation that you're, going to get married and have kids, and that is your expectation in life. And if you're gay, or if you're trans or however, you no longer have the expectation to get married and get kids.
Sure.
You go from straight expectations to gay expectations. And the gay expectations are also twofold. They are that you are out and that you are proud. Right. So that you are out, that you tell everyone whatever your identity happens to be, and that you are not only unashamed of of who you are, but that you are outwardly proud, and you just can't wait to tell everybody how much that you love this part of yourself.
Right.
And I think that there are political reasons why we believe that, but what I think is so, I think there's the expectation that we are proud, but I think it's so much harder to be proud and to rid yourself of the self-loathing that the world really, really beats into you from a very, very small age. I know that in the process of writing recently, I've had to come to terms with, as much as I want everyone to like think that I am so proud and think that I, have rid myself of the shame of being queer and being trans, like it still exists. It's still in there and it's still so hard, but we don't want people to know that the shame still lives within us.
Right.
Because we want full access and we want to be known as living full lives, and we don't want all these prohibitions about moving around in the world. And there is, from the community, like, you can't show any signs that that you might not fully love the like queer and trans part of yourself.
Right.
And if you do betray that, you're considered a bad one.
Sure.
There's also, I think, what he is. So there is that. There's like displaying the self-loathing and not being as proud as you're supposed to be. There's also this idea of assimilation that. So, I remember when I was in college, gay marriage was legal in a couple of states, but the activism was ramping up towards gay marriage, and there were a lot of people who felt that gay marriage was a bad political objective.
Sure.
Because what it meant is that gay people should just be like straight people. We should we shouldn't have our own new way of looking at the world. We should just be like just indistinguishable from straight people, where we get married and we have kids.
This is like tofurkey.
Yes.
It's like, you have a tofu food. It does not have to be turkey. Why can't you just have this great tofu food? Like, you can, like, as opposed to trying to force gayness into the straightness ideas.
Yes.
Why not just let gayness be its own great fucking thing?
Right.
And say, like, this is how we do shit.
Right, because it's not like straight people have it all worked out, right?
No.
Like, there's so much, like, abuse and divorce, and
Right.
people are, right, like, it's not like that.
It's not
the
like
way
it's
that straight
perfect.
people did it is so great.
Right.
So let's find since we're liberated from all these expectations, let's find our new way of doing
Right.
it. And Arthur Less is accused of being an assimilationist because his protagonist, the hero of the book so he realizes that he's a bad gay because he is nominated for a gay book award, and he is clearly not going to win because the guy who is presenting the award is, in not so many words, just trashing his book because his hero is, a strapping soldier, right? A strapping example of normative masculinity.
Right.
And he's like, then he's stranded and alone and sad, and that's where he has his gay affair. And then when he is rescued, he goes back to his wife. And I think the interpretation is, oh, well, if this character could have it his own way, he would be gay.
Right. He would be straight.
Right.
Self-loathing.
Yes.
Is real.
It's real.
And it's interesting that as an artist of any marginalized group, your art speaks for the group.
That is, I think it's, there's so little art that speaks specifically to your identity and your experience that when you see anyone talking anywhere near it, all you want is for it to speak to your experience. Because I feel like very lost. I've talked a lot in this and in the previous podcast, about how like lost and alone I have felt for so much of my life, and you're just grasping for something to give you answers. And when you get it and it doesn't give you the answers that you thought it was going to, you get really mad at it.
Sure.
Whereas, like, when I'm reading a biography of Winston Churchill, like, I don't expect him to have all the answers for my life.
Right, because this is his life.
Yeah.
So you can take from it what you want.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was having dinner last night with a trans guy who's a writer and a director, and he recently directed a project that is based on a book that was highly controversial within the community. And, like, resoundingly, like, panned, didn't do well, and is, like, the book. And the screenplay was rewritten to fix a lot of the errors. And he was like, it is about trans men, and he's a trans man. He was like, I didn't find it offensive, but I did find it challenging. And I think we're in an era where if you're making art about queer trans people, it's just supposed to be so crystal clean and perfect, and everyone's supposed to be just be a hero without problems. But really, everybody has problems.
Right.
And
well, that's a double standard.
Exactly. And that we can't just be so terrorized by what people say on Twitter who want perfect art. We need to make art with people who are challenging and ideas which are uncomfortable.
Right. I mean, I think that, like, this idea that, like, if you have a gay character, I think what I relate, or what I understand, I don't relate to it, but what I understand that, I think his name's like Finley or something, whatever, the guy who's telling Arthur that he's a bad gay, and he's saying, like, his book is about this gay guy who then, like, basically goes back to being straight, and, like, that there's no reward for, like, gay characters, is that he's trying to push towards this new idea that, like, gay people can, like, have joy and find happiness and still be gay, and that he's saying that Arthur's a bad gay because he's not presenting that option. He's presenting this, like, tortured narrative, which is, like, so what we hear so much from like heterosexuals, like, that it must be so hard to be gay. It must be so miserable. What a terrible life. Who would ever choose to be gay? Like, it's so,
Yeah.
It's a choice you can overturn. Like, we can fix this problem. So I feel like the person who's, like, critiquing Arthur is kind of pushing towards this idea of, like, why can't we have a fucking positive story with a great person who finds love with another man and rides off into the sunset and is like, this is awesome. And, like, I like that because, like, I'm Jewish, and, like, there was a while there every movie was about the Holocaust. It's like, can't Jews have some fun?
Yeah.
Like, where's my big fat Jewish wedding? Like, why can't I have a good time seeing my people on the screen, Or, like, every black movie forever and ever is a slave movie. It's like, we've also done other things, And, like, so I think that that's kind of, like, what the guy is trying to get at is, like, it doesn't have to be a book about a tortured, it doesn't have to be about AIDS. It doesn't have to be a tortured gay man. It could be about what this book ends up being, right? A happy love story.
Yeah. I definitely think that's true, and I'm all about like the fun, happy narrative and putting new faces and new identities into old genres. But I think also going back to this idea of struggling with pride, right? Like I think that there is this like false creation of you are like, all right, fine, like you there are only two options. You are either like the tortured gay man who would rather be straight, or like you're just so happy and proud and everything's lovely.
Right, you're either
gay.
like
but
miserable
I think, like,
or you're queer eye for the straight guy.
Right, I think like the reality lies somewhere in the middle, and you
Right.
don't just jump from being. I think all of us at some point are like sad and miserable being queer because we're alone and everyone is making fun of us, and we're clearly so different in school. And you don't just like jump from that to wearing glitter and a thong and a pride parade. And I guess I am, as a human, am interested in that in between.
Sure.
And how we journey from one to the other, because you can't just hop from A to B.
Right.
That terrible tortured experience of middle school and high school still lives with you as you grow old.
Well, two things. One is that I think you just made a really good point, like a A+ point for this book, because this book does hold on to some of the torture less. The book less is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But also does have the happy ending.
Yeah.
So this book kind of does go from A to B without jumping from I am dying of AIDS to I have glitter shooting out of my unicorn horn.
Yeah.
You know, like this book is like a pretty realistic version of like a real human.
Yeah.
Who just also is gay and also is struggling with love and also is struggling with aging. And like we talked about last week, like this idea of universal experience. Like this book is pretty universal.
Yeah.
There are definitely specific, particular things that pertain to him and his sexuality, and also him being a writer and him being, you know, a white man. But generally, it's pretty universal. Someone described this book as the gay fiction version of Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, yeah. That's how I am pitching it to my friends.
Totally. It's
Is
gay
like,
fiction,
Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah. But what I was saying more was not so much like that it needs to be like this pride thing of like gay caricature, you know, unicorns and rainbows and that, but more just that like there's so many narratives for heterosexual people or white people where it's like I had this hard time and I struggled and then, you know, I got a bikini wax and now I'm Sandra Bullock. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like I don't feel like there are very many stories like that for gay folks or any queer folks or for, you know.
And I think that's why I like about this as a narrative is it's very much a guy like trying to fucking get over himself so he can be in love with the person who loves him. That's it's so simple and universal. And so much queer fiction is wrapped up in AIDS or coming out or violence or overcoming a religious background or whatever.
Right.
That I think part of the reason I love this book so much is that it is just so like, oh yeah, this is just sort of like
normal,
a real normal problem.
Yeah, totally. And I think I do think that is what makes the book good. It's like that it's just like normal.
Yeah, but I think that may be why you felt a little like, oh, like what's the point of all this?
Totally.
You're like, it's sort of like, not to go back to it, but like Crazy Rich Asians, if you go see the movie, it's just a dumb rom-com.
But like, if you love a rom-com, which I do, it's amazing.
But it's very much just a basic rom-com, but you're seeing new people get to participate in the fairy tale, and that's what makes it so special.
Right.
And I think that's why I like this book is like, yeah, it's just like a guy whose problems aren't that big and he just needs to get out of his own way and like love the person who loves him. And it's so nice to see someone who looks like me getting to do that because I never get to see that.
Sure. But that's what I think that the other character is saying to him, why he's a bad gay, is because he's saying like, you keep pushing this miserable gay thing. Yeah. And like, I want you to push something like, because
he had to figure it out himself.
Yeah, but I think that is like the point that the guy's making is like, stop making us miserable. Like we're in Morocco for Christ's sake. Like we're on this great vacation or wherever they were at the time. Yeah. Like stop. Like show us the world that we actually live in, because like gay people and white people and black people and brown people, we all have shitty things that happen to us, and we all deserve a chance to find joy and existence and like should, you know, all those things that we get to, that like Sandra Bullock and Julia Roberts get every movie. Like we all, the rest of us would also like that, you know?
That's why my favorite moment in the book is when the lady confronts him and he realizes, or he's rewriting the book and he's like, oh, this is not a sad book. I'm a fool.
Right.
Like I'm a fucking fool.
Right.
I love that realization.
Yeah. Right. Just like flip
That's what it's about.
Totally.
Yeah. You're like, I am a fool to think that I am so sad.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've kind of been dancing a little bit around this, but I know a few people, a few of our listeners had reached out and wanted to know why we thought this book won the Pulitzer.
Yes.
I have one theory, because so the book was up in a year where there were a lot of books written by women that got a lot of praise, a lot of books written by people of color that got a lot of praise, and in a year that our president changed to someone that is very white, very male. Also in a year of Me Too and Time's Up and a lot of like struggle towards elevating voices that push back against the quote unquote mainstream. Mm-hmm. And then this book won, which is a book about a white guy written by a white guy. And I think a lot of people were like, what the fuck? And by a lot of people, I mean myself included. I was like, there's no way Jessamine Ward doesn't win for Sing Unburied Sing. There's no way the Exit West doesn't win. But they didn't win. And I didn't quite understand it. And I was kind of like grossed out by the book for that reason. I was kind of like, I don't want to read this book. Like, ugh. But I was like, it's about a gay story. And like, that's something that's also been marginalized, whatever. I think that the reason that this book did so well is because in all of this darkness and heaviness and like fighting and like just like general yuckiness feeling in the world, this book is like so light.
Yeah, I found the book very funny. I laughed out loud a lot.
I think you're not
that
alone
it like
in that.
ends in a love story is very nice.
Yeah,
because I think we are. I know that for the first time in my life, I wake up and I look at the newspaper and I feel such a feeling of hopelessness. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't know how to dig out of this. Like,
right.
And I think, yeah, it's so nice to laugh.
It's nice, right? And like, I didn't laugh at this book, but like, I didn't feel stressed out going to sleep after I read it. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like, deep breaths. This book is about Jonestown. Like, I need to watch Friends or something.
Yeah.
But I do think that like this book stands out from a lot of books that were published last year in the sense that it's like, it's baby blue and pink, and like it stands out in what it is. And I think that like, that's one of the reasons that it was recognized when it was recognized, because it's not what you think of as being like the most Pulitzer-y book.
No, not at all. I mean, I think Confederacy of Dunces is the last humorous leaning,
and that was like in the 40s.
I thought 30s? It was 36, 37.
Maybe. Yeah. So like, I just think, and also think about what was going on at that time. It's like right after the Depression, like leading into World War. Like,
yeah. Well, I think what's great about this book is that it is not engaging in the oppression Olympics. Right? It's not, because there is a way that you write this book where it does make it seem like it's the worst thing ever in the world to be a gay guy, but it sort of pulls the reins on that and is like, no, really, I'm fine and I'm happy. And I think that checking that impulse is something we all need to start to learn to do.
Yeah.
Right? Is to not get it, is to like be fine not being the center of attention for being a victim.
Right. Like, and like, it could be worse. I try to remind myself that a lot. Like when I'm having a bad day, like it could be worse. Like you're fine. You're totally fine. The other reason I think that this book also might have won a Pulitzer is because it talks about the Pulitzer Prize a lot in it. Does. Which is like those movies that are like about winning the Oscar that always win. And you're like, oh, okay, well, if I just name drop the Pulitzer, I might win a prize. Okay. My last little favorite things to talk about. What did you think of the cover and the title?
A fan of both.
A fan of both. I like the title, and I like how it was used at the end.
Yes,
and I like
how it's used in all the chapter headings.
Yes, I like that too, and I love the cover, and I love the pink.
Yeah, that blue suit with the pink lining. Mm-hmm.
It's really good. If we were gonna make this into something on screen,
which I think it definitely will be. I bet
TV
it's already
or movie?
Movie.
I tried to look if it was option, but it's hard to search for less movie option.
Yeah.
It's like not a great search title.
No, here I have a theory about how this is going to be turned into a movie.
Okay.
I think Neil Patrick Harris is going to play Arthur Less, and that this is going to be his like big push to win an Oscar.
Sure. I was thinking also with Sean Hayes. I know he's not blonde.
Yeah.
But he's just so like, I feel like
it's a very different movie if Sean Hayes does.
Sure. Neil Patrick Harris will be much more brooding.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
I think he'll be able to like, walk the line between the brooding and the humor.
Okay. Anybody else you can see in it?
Trying to think. There aren't many, well-known gay actors,
Right.
and even fewer well-known comedically oriented gay actors.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm trying to be like it's so hard to be a gay guy, but gay guy is the only category of stand-up comedian where there hasn't really been someone who's been a real breakthrough stand-up comedian. Gay women, yes,
Sure.
but gay guy, there's never really been.
Interesting.
A great gay stand-up. Yeah.
I hate stand-up comedy, so I don't hate it. I just don't like it. So I don't know anything. I know like 5 stand-up comedians, and like Ellen is one.
Yeah.
Does she still do that?
Well, she's got her show.
Sure.
Apparently
But like
she's not as nice in person. As
I've heard this.
She portrays herself on television.
Makes me very sad.
But I just think that has to be true about anyone who's that successful.
Well, I've heard that about Neil Patrick Harris as well.
Oh, girl, you hear he is a big bitch.
Yeah. Okay, so here's who I came up with for Freddie.
Okay.
I would like it to be someone more ethnic, but
he's
something.
Mexican.
He's like mixed something, right?
Yeah.
He's Latinx. I couldn't find someone that I liked because I think that the actor should be gay.
I could give or take that. Because here's the
think
thing.
it's
I think that you have to be very careful on. I think it's different with trans actors and
Sure.
trans parts. Let's put that aside. But I think you can't. Yes, we should try to put gay people in gay roles, but I don't think you can put prohibitions on it because then it allows them to say, well, then only straight people can play straight.
No,
roles.
I agree with that. I just feel like this movie, like, if it was my perfect world, it would be all gay actors playing the gay roles. Just because I think, like, why not have a vehicle for folks who are so often like in trouble or like not in trouble, but don't get parts because they're gay.
Totally.
It's like, well, then this is an opportunity for you to just like fucking be a star in a great feel good rom-com. That being said, I tried to only come up with actors that were out.
Yeah.
Which is harder than you think because there's
Very
not
hard.
a lot of older gay male actors. I basically found like Nathan Lane and the guy from Frasier.
Yeah.
But I thought Jonathan Groff would be kind of a cute Freddie. He's
Jonathan
not
Groff?
ethnic enough.
Yeah, I think he's also too old.
No, he's 33 and Freddie's 32 when they get married.
There you go. Yeah, but for me, I think Freddie's got to be a person of color.
I mean, I think so too. Also, what about Jussie Smollett? He's like,
I don't know.
Yes, Journey Smollett. You know her, the girl. She's like in like. Anyways, you said you don't know anything about pop culture.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Anyways, he's like a mixed guy, and I thought of him for Bastion.
Okay.
Because Bastion is like blackish.
Yes.
But I struggled. I mean, I really struggled. Like, I also thought because there's so many great like characters that come in and out, like I envisioned Lewis to be Alan Cummings.
That would be great.
Right, like
oh
so
yes, no,
fucking
that's perfect.
great. Like because you have all these like people who could like be these cameo
Anna
moments.
Clark could be like a John Benjamin Hickey.
Sure, and then like also you have the woman, I can't remember her name, whose birthday it is, and
Robert
she's a lesbian.
could be who is it? Is it Ian McKellen?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Sure. I that is the one that was the other one that I came up with. And then I also feel like they're like I mean,
you know what's so interesting about this movie?
Huh?
It would not pass the Bechdel test.
What's the Bechdel test?
So the Bechdel test.
Two women talking to each other
about
something
other than a man.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't think two women have a conversation with each other.
There's only 2 women in the book.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, and then there's the Japanese girl.
Yeah.
But there's Marion, and then there's the woman whose birthday it is in Morocco.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think this book has a
No,
place
there's
for
not
women.
But it's also you're telling a tale about people who are marginalized. So
Right.
it's
Yeah, I
but
wouldn't
I
hold
always
it
just
up
think
to
it's
that. Yeah.
because I wrote a short story that I'm working into a screenplay right now, and it's just very funny in the back of my because it's also about gay guys, and I don't think there's a single female character in the story or in the film, and I'm like, oh, this will not pass the Bechdel test.
Mm-mm.
But anyway,
Not everything can. Most
Right.
things don't. It's what I've learned.
I'm a feminist. I'd like to think that the things I
Mhm.
write, like when I write parts of women, there are good parts of women, and they're active and smart and yada yada yada. But I'm like, oh no, it just
It doesn't.
as because of the fact that it's about gay men, and because it's about gay men, everyone who's fucking each other is a man.
Right.
They're just
There's
not a
less
way to
women
carve it.
characters
Yeah.
also just in this book in general. Also, you know who probably would like would also pop up in this book somehow in this movie would be like Jesse Tyler Ferguson. There must be a place for him because he's so joyful. We need some joy.
Yeah, he would be great.
He would. I don't know who he would be. I just like literally looked up a list.
Carlos, I guess no. it
No,
couldn't be Carlos.
Cheyenne Jackson is Carlos. He's like the dark, swarmy rival to our Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
He's maybe not quite old enough, but like in Hollywood, everyone looks younger than they are. So who knows? He might be close.
Fair enough. Also, again, is Cheyenne Jackson, he's Native American?
Yeah.
All right. You would think maybe they would have to, again, cast a Latinx
Well,
actor.
then you'd have to cast like Ricky Martin. He's like the one.
Well, he was in the assassination
He
of Gianni
was.
Versace.
I know, he was.
Well, no, there's also, oh my God, that guy, he typically, he's very macho, Guillermo Diaz.
Oh, yes, from Scandal.
Yeah.
Sure, but do you think he's old enough? Put
don't
some
know.
gray highlighter in his hair. I think he's like 35.
Then you age him down and do you make him Freddie?
We'll work on it. Casting directors, give us a call. We have some ideas. We're open to casting
Also,
heterosexuals.
why not let's get some young, new, fresh.
I feel like Freddie
actors
is
of
an
color.
unknown.
Yeah.
Freddie's got to be an unknown because also that allows Neil Patrick Harris to just really be the star, and then you just nominate Freddie for his best supporting role, and you're like, oh look, we helped a
But like
kid of color.
that's what happens.
Yeah.
Is like the kid who plays Freddie, he gets nominated for best supporting, and Neil Patrick Harris gets locked out of all the awards, and it's just like,
and he like commits suicide on stage at
Yeah.
the show. Is like, this was my chance.
yeah.
Okay,
And then finally, his poor husband, who is always in the shadows, is like, I get to be the star now.
Who's his husband?
His name is David
Burtka. That's right.
And when they first met, he was the more successful actor, and then NPH is like,
that's right. That's
yes.
right. Well, I do think this will make a good on-screen something.
Yeah, I think
No
we're going to
doubt.
see it very soon.
No doubt. Okay. Anything else that you want to say about this book, or anything about reading, or anything?
I am thoroughly tapped. This has been lovely. I've had so much fun.
I had such a good time having you here. Thank you so much for coming. I will, of course, link to everything we talked about in the show notes, and also Zeke's social media and all that good stuff, so you can find Zeke and love on him in other ways. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you in the stacks. That's all for today's show. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our guest, Zeke Smith. Also, I would like to thank Little Brown and Company for providing a free copy of Less by Andrew Sean Greer. Remember, you can join the Stacks Pack and be a part of creating this podcast, earn awesome perks, and get special access by going to patreon.com/thestacks and contributing as little as $1 a month. Make sure you're subscribed to this show wherever you get your podcasts, and if you're listening through Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the show. Our graphic designer is Robin McCrite. Our theme music is from Tegirigis, and this show was created and produced by me, Tracy Thomas.